AITA for telling my sister that I don't consider her my sister anymore. Me and my sister are half-siblings. Her mother died, and she was 18 when my mother married her father. My sister was quite cold towards my mother. There were occasional fights, but she accepted me when I was born. She herself got married when I was 7 years old to a tycoon 20 years her senior. Our father died when I was 15 years old, and our expenses were borne by my mother and my father's eldest brother. Me and my sister inherited a house from our father. Half is mine, and the other half is my sister's. I don't like her husband because he's shady and tried to steamroll my mother twice to get the key to the entire house. Once when my father was ill and once when he was hospitalized. After my father's death, my sister started chatting with me and would visit our house occasionally. Her hatchet with my mother was also buried. She told us she was being mentally abused by her husband, and she was waiting for her 2 kids to grow up so she could leave the slimeball. She also told us that she would live with us, and this phrase continued in her communication with us for the next 15 years. Our house had started to crumble, but we had no money for renovations. I asked her that at least she should pay for her share of property taxes, cleaning, and maintenance of her side of the house, but she said that her husband didn't give her any money. I was paying for everything by that time as I had started earning. My sister said it's better to sell the house rather than spend a huge amount of money on its renovations. She told me to bear with her a bit, and she would make up for it. I agreed. Our house had started falling all around us by the time 15 years had passed. My mother got sick and had a major surgery. I asked my sister to at least sit by her side while I took care of the medical bills and her treatment. She refused, and that continued to happen whenever I needed her emotional support. She refused every time. Her children grew up and went abroad for higher studies. I had reached the limit of my patience by then. I asked her to make up her mind, at least be consistent on what she wants and not make me wait any longer. She told me, okay, I should look for a new house and hand her my share, so she could sell the entire house, and then she would come live with me and my mother. I looked for a house which could be enough for 3 people, me, my mother and my sister. And once I found the house, she dropped the bomb. Told me that she wouldn't be selling the house and would keep it for her and that I should hand over my share to her. I asked her what about her husband abusing her. Didn't you say for the last 15 years that you wanted divorce from him? To this, she said that she didn't want to combine property and didn't want to live with us. I said you don't want to live with me, that's your prerogative, but if you want my share, then you must pay for it. As a reply, she said her husband had quoted a sum, but it was far below the market rate, so I refused. And the next day, she sent her husband to our house with 2 stooges. He started cajoling us to sell my share of the house to him. Mind you, our house is located in a commercial setting, so the property is quite expensive. I told him that your wife quoted this amount for the share and took your name. He said that he didn't know anything about what his wife said as he never quoted any sum to her. I realized that I couldn't trust both my sister and husband anymore. They were in cohorts with each other and making a fool out of me. I refused to sell it to her husband, and he started threatening me and cornering me to sell it to him. I sent him home, asking him not to make a scene. Otherwise, I would call the police. He went home, and then my sister called me from her husband's phone and started yelling at me. I told her simply that she was a bitch and I no longer consider her as my sister. AITA for giving up on her?